In today's video, we talk with Dr. Dom about a ketogenic approach for physique athletes. Hey guys, this is Paul and I have a special treat for you today. As you saw by the title of this video and probably the thumbnail, I got to spend time yesterday at the Keto Conference here in Tampa with none other than Dominic D'Agostino. Now, Dom has been a friend of mine for probably close to a decade, but he's not someone I see very much because the guy is working his butt off all the time. He's working on crazy research. He is literally changing the world, and I never really want to bother him, but I thought I would bring my camera to the Keto Conference because there might be a chance that I might get a few minutes to ask him some questions that I thought you guys would be interested in. You see, I've asked Dom these questions before. I've kind of prodded because I've seen his presentations on the benefits of being in ketosis, and as someone who himself was a physique athlete and a bodybuilder competitively at one time, who had transitioned into ketosis, it intrigued me, and it's always intrigued me because there's not a lot of case studies out there, and the research on a ketogenic approach or keto lifestyle is still so new that there's almost more questions than there are answers right now. But the cool thing is, the research and the stuff that's coming out is so exciting that it's just leading to better and better questions. I actually got to watch some presentations by the leading experts in the world yesterday on athletic performance, lean body mass, and things like this. Now, there was no research specific to bodybuilding or physique athletes, but the research that was presented did lend itself to the possibility that there might be some benefits to being in a keto adapted state for some people. Now you'll watch this interview with Dom, and he actually talks about what he feels are situations where it might be beneficial. And so I'm gonna put the interview on for you guys now. I'm really excited for you to watch this. I apologize for the camera angle. Lauren Conlon, thank you so much for shooting the video. She was there with me, or I was there with her, I should say. She's the one that got me to get out of the house yesterday. So I'm rocking your shirt today. This is Loco Fit Apparel. If you guys love Lauren Conlon and you want to support her, go buy one of her Loco Fit tees. Her and Ryan put a lot of work into these. They just got some new supplies in. So thank you, Lauren, for filming for me yesterday. But the reason the video is kind of funny is we were actually looking at the posters for the research at the conference, and I saw Dom come around the corner. I flagged him down. We found a spot. It's not very quiet. The audio is not great, but I feel like it's good enough. You get some good answers. And don't mistake the angle. I'm not bigger than Dom. Dom is a big dude, but I'm standing closer to the camera, so it's a little deceptive. But sorry for it not being perfect, but you know what? You gotta take these opportunities when you get them. So enjoy the content, and then I'm gonna do a little review after and explain my thoughts on what Dom had to say. So here you go, enjoy. Dr. Dominic D'Agostino from the University of South Florida. What's going on, guys? This is Paul Revelia, ProPhysique.com. I'm here today with my friend, Dr. Dominic D'Agostino. We're at the University of South Florida at the Ketogenic Conference in Metabolic Therapies. And it's very cool that this is in our backyard, probably largely to do with you.
Maybe, some of it.
So I wanted to ask you a question. I actually got to see the presentations today on performance and muscle and what interests me when it comes to a ketogenic diet. And you have a background as a bodybuilder, powerlifter, very strong, jacked guy. And so I would like your opinion on how being keto adapted has impacted or could potentially impact someone who has been a lifetime, bodybuilder, powerlifter, as far as muscle size, performance, strength, and just your thoughts. I'm not looking for answers, but just your opinion on the subject.
Okay. Well, I think that the nutritional ketosis, which does not have to be the classical ketogenic diet, offers so many advantages to an athlete, in particular an aging athlete. Like, I probably you wouldn't want to put like a teenager on a ketogenic diet because their body body is running very efficiently off glucose and carbohydrates in general. But as we age, our carbohydrate intolerance increases. Or stated another way, our carbohydrate tolerance decreases as we age. It's kind of inevitable, but we can reverse or delay that if we put on muscle, right? But as we age, we do lose muscle if we're not training appropriately.
Okay.
What I've seen in kind of guys that have transitioned in their careers, either powerlifting or bodybuilding, is that they have a lot of chronic injuries, they have inflammation. Intermittent fasting, the ketogenic diet, nutritional ketosis achieved through a variety of methods reduces inflammation, enhances insulin sensitivity, and it allows them to incorporate foods that they avoided for many years into their diet. So you can eat a higher percentage of fat, keep your protein moderate, and restrict carbohydrates, and your meal timing can decrease. So by decreasing the frequency of your meals, you free up more time to do other things. Like for me in academia, I don't always have the time to eat every 2 or 3 hours if I'm in the lab doing experiments or working on a grant or doing something. So it has been very liberating to not only, have more time to, where I don't have to cook, prepare, eat, clean up a meal, but I literally don't get hungry, and probably most important is that I have more energy, more mental energy, and more physical energy throughout the day than I used to have before I started eating this way. And we know from the literature that ketones serve an anti-catabolic function, and that serves their purpose in starvation ketosis. Throughout our history, with limited food availability, we would go into a state of ketosis, and ketones would spare muscle protein. And in that way, so if we have a source of exogenous ketones, or we can achieve nutritional ketosis, we have an anti-catabolic metabolite in our blood all the time. So if we go 4, 5, 8 to 12 hours without food, we don't go into a catabolic spiral. And
no bump.
Yeah. So we're interested in, doing the basic science research and the animal science research to validate some of these approaches, mostly for clinical applications, for disease pathologies, but they have tremendous implications for the exercise community.
Yeah, I think for physique athletes, just what you mentioned, constantly being hungry, throughout a fat loss phase.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this then. As someone gets to an elite level of body fat, because you've competed before at the high level of bodybuilding, you've been very lean, does that anyway impact your ability to perform because you have less, let's say, adipose tissue available during a phase like that?
It's going to vary. Everybody has a different fat set point, as you know, but I think once we diet, subsequent phases of dieting become easier. And I remember Lane Norton telling me this 10 years ago, and that's what I see in people. And I think if you've achieved a certain level of body fat and you sustain that for a period of time, that low level of body fat, your body metabolically adapts to that from a neuroendocrine point of view and from a metabolic physiology point of view. I think you can adapt your body over time to being more lean and essentially adapting your metabolic physiology to that set point, lowering your set point. And you don't have to calorie restrict to maintain a set point that you previously had to calorie restrict for and live in a calorie restricted state to achieve.
So let me ask you this then. What would be, so we know when you're adapted to glycogen and you diet down, there's a lot of things that change physiologically speaking. Hunger is probably the worst, but at a certain point, energy, libido, testosterone, these kind of things, are you aware of anything that might have a positive impact on those as well when you're dieting to lower body fat levels?
Yeah, I mean, sex hormones and many hormones are derived from fat and cholesterol. So if you inevitably have to go into a state of calorie restriction to lose weight.
Sure.
You can't get around that. So if you do that in the context of the ketogenic diet, you're providing your body the basic precursors to sustain a lot of the hormones and machinery that can normalize your body's physiology. And I think you'll see that don't know if there's been any controlled studies to look at this, but just looking at blood work from people who have dieted one way and then dieted using the ketogenic diet, you do see a sustainment of the level of sex hormones, testosterone, etc.
Probably mood.
With the ketogenic diet.
I think mood is a big one for me when I get
Mood's
really
a big one. Yeah.
You never seem angry, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, I internalize it and I just go to the gym, right? But so if you're dieting on a low carbohydrate, or a high carbohydrate diet protocol, if you're calorie restricted in that context, every meal that you eat is going to produce glucose and insulin fluctuations that can, at the nadir, after you'll get a postprandial dip in your blood glucose that all of us can, kind of relate to once we eat our tuna fish and rice or whatever, and your blood glucose comes down, and that triggers a hunger response. And that's, if it's not abolished, it's significantly attenuated while you're eating a ketogenic diet ratio. Because even if your blood glucose drops to hypoglycemic levels, if your blood ketones are elevated, that's going to provide cognitive resilience and appetite suppression even in the face of hypoglycemia. And I think we know that from medically, like we know that from the early literature by George Cahill and Van Italy and Richard Beach, and that we do that in the context of fasting. That's part of why if we prolong fast, we don't go into crazy starvation mode because our ketones are elevated.
You told me you commonly forget to eat throughout your day in the lab. Like you think it's time to eat, and you realize it's been a few hours. Whereas if we're getting ready for a bodybuilding show, if you're 5 minutes late for a meal, you feel it. You're angry.
Yeah, you're preoccupied with.
So let me ask you
food.
one final probing question, because this has been awesome. Assuming all of this goes away and you decided you're going to do a bodybuilding show, would you
never do that? I've been out of it for like 10 years.
Would you use a ketogenic approach to try it the next time?
Yeah, absolutely. I would. At this age, I'm in my 40s now, so not a spring chicken. But if I was 20 or even in my early 20s, I'd probably not do a ketogenic diet. But as I get older, I find that my body just thrives on higher fat and low carb.
Well, as a guy who just joined the 40 club, it might be worth my time.
It's a tool in the toolbox.
And I do not stop what you're doing to do bodybuilding. What you're doing is far more important. It was just a what-if question. Well, thank you, Dominic. I hope you guys appreciate the value that he has being in my backyard. It's just been amazing to be around Dom and see all the great things he's doing. He's doing stuff that's much more valuable than physique stuff. He's dealing with cancer and metabolic diseases.
Well, you're preventing. So this is the key thing. The key studies that we want to do is actually incorporate exercise and diet into our research in animals that don't have any kind of pathology, but to essentially pre-treat them and let them live a normal, healthy life to see if we could suppress spontaneous tumors, to see if we could suppress age-related chronic diseases that are, for example, driven by inflammation from the NLRP3 inflammasome that we had our keynote speaker talked on. We know ketones, suppress that inflammasome that is activated in the aging process. So through exercise and through ketogenic diet and variations of nutritional ketosis, I think that
the study we saw today actually discussed the lives of rats. As you know, they have much shorter, and it showed some extension, or at least a number of them living a longer time being on a ketogenic approach. So, well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Awesome convention here. If you guys are interested in a ketogenic approach to life, this conference is just getting bigger and bigger. It's almost tripled from what it was last year, right?
Yeah.
So pretty soon they're going to have it at the Sun Dome. So, all right, well, get back to you, and thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I don't know if you can appreciate how awesome it was to get that interview with Dom. These are things I've wanted to get on film for a long time, and really just never had the time or the place or the ability to ask him these questions. So I hope you guys really appreciate it. I think what you'll find, what I found from these answers, is it created more questions. However, when I got done talking to Dom, there was a line of people. That's a fire engine. yeah, I didn't want to consume too much of his time because people come from all around this world to come to this Keto Conference. I literally drove 5 minutes, okay? So hopefully you enjoyed the content. Let me give you my feedback on what my takeaway was from it. I'm definitely going to try to get keto adapted. Not going to try. I'm definitely going to get keto adapted at some point. And I know it sounds very exciting when you hear about exogenous ketones, you know, salts, esters, stuff like that, and then you hear about the ability to get into keto quick. But I also heard some very compelling research that there's a big difference between taking a salt or an ester and getting into ketosis or being adapted. There are some changes. There's still a lot of research going on, and so I'm not 100% convinced. So what's the best way to find out is to do it myself. Now, when am I going to do it? It's probably going to be in the next few months because right now I have a lot going on in my life. Don't want to get into too much detail, but we're moving to a new house. And don't worry, I'm gonna have an awesome studio at the new house as well. So I don't really wanna try to change my entire lifestyle. And one thing you gotta know about being in ketosis is it's a complete change in lifestyle. There are certain foods you just aren't going to be able to eat. Now, Quest and some other companies are coming out with cool options for those that want something that's a treat. I saw like a cinnamon roll, I saw some flatbread pizzas, stuff like that that don't have an impact on blood. And so you're able to eat them and stay in ketosis, but ultimately, those are still niche products. They're not really readily available. So I digress. I'm just not ready to do it right this moment, but I will try it out because, as you heard in the interview, there are benefits if you're over 40. And so, at least in Dom's estimation. Hopefully you guys appreciate the content in the video. I was so excited to get it, and I couldn't wait to get it out to you today. And I know this is gonna raise a lot of questions. No, I am not switching. My clients are still using carbohydrates. I'm still using carbohydrates. There may be some benefits for some people to getting into a ketogenic state, but I myself still believe in the value of glycogen and glucose for the typical person. All right, so let's just head that off right now. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to do more. And since Dom is so close, we got to get in touch again, and perhaps I can do more content with him in the future if it is warranted. And certainly, once I do my keto diet, you guys will be the first ones to know about it. It will be a part of my videos here. Anyway, it's Saturday. I'm gonna go get back to work. I just wanted to get this intro and outro done and get this video out to you and give you this information because Dom is awesome, and I knew you guys would really enjoy this. So I hope you guys are having an awesome Saturday. Once again, Loco Fit Tees, and have an awesome weekend, guys. Enjoy the Super Bowl.